endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained I thrive, I thrive.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and once again, we're coming at you live from, I'm currently in Silicon Valley, California. I'm not sure where you are, but it's my current mission to interview 1,000 digital nomads or 1,000 folks who are talking about or going through midlife recalibrations. And we have a great guest today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on, Chris. My name's Jason Stevens. I have my current midlife change is my Substack, the Step Ladder Hustle on Substack. And yes, I am one of the 50s tribe, and I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia.
Very nice. What's the weather like there today?
Absolute garbage. You would not believe the weather.
Wait a minute. You get garbage weather in Australia? I thought it was beautiful all year round.
Well,
all year round.
Chris, I know you're in California, and from memory, I think Melbourne is very much like California with weather. It's perfect one day, garbage the next, but give it 5 minutes and it certainly will change. That's the 4 seasons I want to do.
That sounds like Florida, but do you get a lot of humidity there? Because I know we don't get much humidity here, but does it get humid?
No, I think from a US point of view, probably the closest we get is, I would say, Washington State.
Oh, okay.
In terms of weather. So it's more our Queensland. And for those who live up north of Australia, they have humidity. So that's a lot like Florida. Florida and Queensland are very similar weather-wise. But it was only 2 weeks ago, our warmest day coming out of summer and now coming into autumn was probably in Fahrenheit, was sitting around the nice 90, 95 degrees.
Oh, nice and balmy.
Nice and balmy. And today it's the same as yesterday. It's raining, it's wet, and I think it's sitting at about 40 degrees at the moment. So
oh my
it's gone
God.
from beautiful 90 to a really horrible 40.
That's a broad range. So the only place I've been to in Australia is Perth and northwestern Australia, because I was on I had a contract with a mining company, and it was really interesting. Do you remember Google Glass? Do you remember Google Glass, the little tiny screen? Yep. And we were doing a study for them to see if they could use it in their operations. And they flew us all the way to Perth, and then they flew us to the northwest corner. It's a totally forbidding landscape. I don't know if you've been up there, but it's insane what it's like up there. Snakes everywhere. It's like not fit for human beings, right? And and of course, within 5 minutes, all the electronics just failed on these things. So they couldn't handle the heat. It couldn't handle the dust. It couldn't handle all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, about 5 minutes into our 3-day trip, it was like, okay, I think we could probably wrap it up now, but we still got to go through the whole process and see, well, can we use it for administrative work in the offices or whatever? But it ended up not working out. But at least I got a trip to Perth. And the thing about Perth, it really felt like California to me, because on the West Coast, everyone's chill, everyone's laid back. It's super cool, and I really love the vibe in Perth.
I actually, just for a bit of context, I was born and bred in Sydney, Australia, which is on the eastern coast. Probably one of the most well-known cities outside of Australia. For those who think of Australia from overseas, they think, oh, yeah, I know about Sydney.
That's all they know about.
That's all they know about. But fun fact, in terms of a capital city, Perth is the most remote city in the world.
Yes.
So after Perth, Adelaide in South Australia is the next closest capital city. And I mean capital city for a state or territory.
Right.
I lived from early childhood to my mid-teens. I spent 10 years in Perth, and I still love the place. I've still got family over there.
Nice.
My mother moved from South Australia to Perth about 4 years ago and resides with one of my younger sisters. And I haven't been as far north as you have, Chris, up to the northern part of Western Australia. But the other bit of context I wanted to let people know is the weather is brutal in summer.
Really?
Even as far south as Perth.
Yeah.
When they have we're very lucky here on the east coast of Australia. We get the 9, 10 year cycles for weather of going from El Nino to La Nina. So then we have some wet summers and we have some pretty warm summers. But in Perth, being in the Indian Ocean, it's the same. But every 7 years, they just get a most horrible consecutive days of brutal hot temperatures. Now we're
Yikes.
talking, and it's consecutive days. The last bad summer I experienced in Perth, they had, I just can't remember what the conversion is from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but they had 12 days one summer where the temperature did not get less than 42 degrees Celsius during the day.
Holy, that is unbelievably hot. That
I
is
think that's
ridiculous.
like
You can't
112,
be outside in that kind of
115
weather.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's nuts.
So it was crazy. You'd go in the shade, you sweat, you stand in the sun for 5 minutes to dry the sweat off, and it
Yeah.
was too bloody hot. So you go back in the shade to sweat again. Oh, it's just ridiculous. And at night, unless you had what was known as the Fremantle Doctor, Fremantle is on the beach of Perth City itself. And it's the beautiful wind that comes across the Indian Ocean that cools down the weather at night.
Mm.
Mind you, in the middle of summer, a cool day is 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. So still not
So
cool.
still bloody hot.
So where would you say that we've got the best weather in Australia? Where you are?
The
Or
best weather in Australia. It depends on the season because it is different. It's brutally humid like Florida in Queensland in summer, especially the more north you go, and it's very much like I know the Everglades in Florida is a very unique tropical area in that
Mhm.
part of the country, and in we have tropical forest in Queensland and Australia, which is very different to the eucalypts and gum trees that we have in like my region of the country in the
Mm.
state of Victoria, where it's very cool, very temperate. The weather in summer here is it's warm and it stays warm for a very long time, but we don't have the humidity that Queensland does. So usually at the end of summer, it starts to cool down at night very quick. Um, but if you, it's a bit biased in the sense that if you ask people around Australia what's the best weather, they may tell you Melbourne is the best weather because even in winter, you can have layer of clothing on. And we're fortunate to have probably only 2 or 3% of the entire state that actually has snow.
Mm.
So in our winter, it's like a grand total of the entire country only has like 3% snow. Unlike in the US, where it might be more than half the country in winter and half of America shuts down in winter because
Oh
you
yeah.
can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You actually have to travel a few hours out of our capital cities to our, well, we call them hills. Some people might call them mountains. They're not really that high. I mean, Mount Kosciuszko is only 1.2 kilometers in height or something.
Oh, that's not
So
much. Yeah.
not much compared to the rest of the mountain ranges around the world. It's tiny. It's
Mm.
short. But with the snow, you have to travel to the snow to have a snow experience.
Well, that's good. That's exactly what we have here. If I wanted snow, I just drive couple of hours northeast of here, and I'll get the snow for there. So, do you travel a lot? I mean, Australians in general, I think travel a lot. But what about you? Do you personally travel a lot?
I haven't recently because I have a young family, and but prior to that, it's very common for young Australians to either travel overseas or travel interstate. So
Hmm.
having only 6 states and 2 territories, but usually what we like to call a short drive. If we go, I'm just going to go to Sydney and hop over to Melbourne. That's a 10, 11 hour drive.
Whoa, that's
So,
huge.
if you're going from, California or heading up north to Washington state, it might be a few hours. If you're going, heading to Texas, that's probably also, I would imagine, only a few hours drive from where you are, but
No, from here it's a
usually
long way.
it's a long way. But for Australians, it's like 10-hour drive is very standard because the reality is we've only really got 6 major capital cities. We have a
Right.
lot of regional towns, but they're still primarily coastal.
Hmm.
So a lot of people don't realise. They go, wow, you've got 30 million people in Australia. Where does everybody live? It's like you
Yeah,
look at our map, where basically you look at our ocean and then go 80 kilometres inland, and that's 95% of where our population is, all around
yeah,
that thin band.
yeah. Well,
We do
it's
have
like
some,
Canada. Canada's very similar to that because I'm originally
yeah,
Canadian, and everybody lives right along the border with the United States. I mean, there's a few cities further up, but it's very few and far between. They're all right along that border, so it's very similar.
yeah. And the great thing about Australia too is we have a lot of public holidays in the first 6 months of the year. I mean, we have Australia Day and Labor Day and Easter, and there's opportunities for what we like to call long weekends.
Hmm.
And in my youth, on the fly, it'd be like, I'm going to go. I'm living in Sydney. I'm going to go see some friends in Melbourne. I'll just hop in the car, call them up, and say, "Hey, it's Thursday night. Friday morning, I'm going to be falling on your couch asleep for about 6 hours, but I'm on my way. I'll see you in 12 hours." So quite often, spur of a moment, travel interstate, go for 10, 11,
I
12
love it.
hours, and
Is that like the
turn up at a
Australian
friend's
spirit?
place.
Is that the Australian
It's the
spirit?
Australian spirit,
I
yeah.
love it.
If we couldn't afford to go overseas, we'd go, that's okay. We'll just go and visit somebody in another state that we know.
Nice, nice, fantastic. And so you said something about midlife recalibration, but you don't look old enough to do something like that. I mean, you look a lot younger. I mean, you're like in your 30s, right?
No, I'm 57 this year.
No,
Yes.
you must moisturize, right? Do you moisturize?
Well, I get that a lot. I don't moisturize actually. I probably should. But no, I'm 57 this year, 69 baby, very proud Generation X.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So 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 are you? Did you say so? Well, tell me about your Substack.
Yeah, absolutely. I have had a very interesting journey. I'll give you the short version of the side hustles I've been doing probably for 20 odd years now. Um, my journey started on a place called HubPages, which in a lot of
Oh
ways
my
was.
God, I remember HubPages.
You remember HubPages?
Oh, of
You
course.
would not believe how many people I speak to, Chris, who
Oh,
go,
I
Hub
absolutely
who?
remember that.
Well, you remember the format. It's not in a lot of ways too dissimilar to Substack for
Yeah,
what it was back in the day.
yeah.
And I was like, probably in the sense of it had similarities to Medium as well.
Hmm.
I was just pumping out articles left, right, and center, not
Were you
knowing what I
always
was doing.
did you just do that? Were you always wanted to be a writer, or were you a writer in a previous life, or how did you get onto it?
I was, funny enough, not a writer. I didn't have aspirations to be a writer, so I wasn't looking at being a novelist or I was going to be some great, I'm going to write a fantasy novel
A
and
great
be as
Australian
popular
novel.
as great Australian novel and be as popular as Lord of the Rings or as popular a writer like Jerry Purnell or anyone like that. But
Yeah.
um, I was more wanting to prove a point. I didn't do well in school in terms of English grades.
Hmm.
So I've gone, well, I'm going to show these teachers a thing or two. And I just wrote furiously on HubPages and wrote
Nice.
articles left, right, and center. And then
What
I
was it? What
found
on what
through,
topics? What were you writing about?
at the time, anything that was coming to mind, it was like what life's like in Australia back then, opinion pieces. It was more, I didn't know and I didn't understand that with writing, there was a particular format you could follow. And or that you could write for what we now know as what we call a niche.
Right.
So, which is a specific
So you
subject
just
that you would
so
be
it's kind of a
writing
blog.
about.
You wrote about anything and
Yeah,
everything, anything that came to your mind. You wrote about.
100%.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
anything that came to mind, wrote it as a blog. And because it had affiliations with Amazon and Google Ads, you could make some income from it as well. So at the
Yeah,
time, I
yeah,
thought this is pretty cool.
yeah.
It's paying my internet bill back in the day when it used to make that horrible fax sound. Before that we had the
Wait,
internet that we
yes,
used to
dial up.
now,
I remember
dial
dial up
up.
very well.
And it used to be great until somebody gave you a phone call and it would knock you off your internet
Exactly.
connection. So, um, yeah, so I started writing on there and then I started writing on a personal blog.
Hmm.
And
What made you leave Hub
that
Pages? Did they
you
just not
might
do what you wanted to?
remember the Google update that they had. I
Yeah.
think this was about 4 years after HubPages started, what was known as the Farmer update,
Hmm.
which later had become known as the Panda update.
Hmm.
And for those of you who weren't sure what that means, is what happened was there were a lot of sites like HubPages, which was, the medium back in its day, very
Yeah.
similar to Substack as we've just expressed.
Yeah.
But it was also a lot of people were going, I can just write stuff all day
Hmm.
and they just appear on Google. SEO was so easy. You didn't need to be a wizard SEO. You literally wrote an article and published, and within a few weeks it started making money for you. So
Yeah,
you
because the
went,
SEO was built right into HubPages
the
from my
SEO was built
recollection.
right in
Yeah.
from to HubPages.
Yeah.
And what happened was a lot of websites started to appear similar, which we now know as being called content farms, because
Hmm.
people were basically milking Google for SEO juice.
That's right.
And Google went, you know what? We don't like that. They changed their algorithm, and overnight, HubPages and a lot of these other websites lost their SEO juice.
Ah, geez, that's terrible. That's
So,
terrible. See,
and it
it's
was,
unfortunate, and that
yeah,
sort of thing is still happening because if you think about it, I mean, Google
yes.
is our homepage to everything because that's what people do, right? And people go to Google and they search, and if the algorithmic gods say you can be displayed, then you are displayed, and if not, you are invisible, and then you just disappear. And I guess that's what happened. Like the update came down, and then all of a sudden, all these hub pages that were making money, all of a sudden
Mhm.
had no visits, and you weren't making any money. So the Google update basically killed the business,
The
right?
Google update killed the business, it killed the format, it killed the website, and many others like it.
Right,
So then I was looking around going, okay, well, I'm not getting the effect that I was getting before. This is not
right.
good.
Yeah.
Um, and something in the back of my mind telling me this was important, which will become relevant a little bit later in this conversation.
Hmm.
And I went, right, I like this idea of writing. What can I do next? And then I came across blogs,
Hmm.
and that needs no explanation. Everyone knows what a blog is, or you've lived under a rock if you don't. But
But blogs
I,
exist. Yeah, some of the younger folks who might
yeah,
be listening are like, "Oh, what's that? I never heard of it." Because everybody's
that's one big
everybody's on
rock for
some
the younger
platform
folk.
or
I,
another,
I
right?
jest, yeah, I jest. But no, and I think actually because of the Panda update at the time is why blogs suddenly became known, and a lot of people hopped on, let's call it that bandwagon for
Yeah,
a period of time,
yeah,
and a very long period of time. Blogs became quite useful and powerful for people in the sense that now here's this platform where I can express, I can talk about a particular topic or subject, and I'm not beholden to the media.
yeah. You owned it.
Now,
You own it as
you
opposed
you
to
owned
being
it.
on somebody else's platform. But did you do a hosted WordPress, or did you do your own WordPress, or did you do your own blog, or how did you manage that?
I started on a Google's Blogger,
Oh yeah,
and
I
then I
remember Blogger.
found you, if you remember Blogger. So I
Yes.
started on there, and then I found I couldn't get the SEO juice that I wanted, and I couldn't host the name that I wanted. So then I ended up getting a hosted WordPress site, and I started writing about. Then at the time, I had my second child at the age of 40, so I
Wow.
started writing about
Congratulations.
being a. Thank you. So I started writing about being a later in life father, and
Ah, there's your
I
niche.
there was
Boom.
my niche. It was the niche at the time. My blogger name was Kangaroo Dad.
I love it.
So being Australian, being a later in life dad, it was just, to me, it seemed like a natural fit.
Perfect.
And that went very well. And for some reason, I'm not sure about the rest of the world at the time, but blogging became massive in Australia. It was
Oh yeah.
like, forget Facebook and MySpace were. MySpace was starting to die during this time. Facebook
Yeah.
was starting to emerge as
Yes, it's
this
in late 2000s,
social
right?
media,
Yeah.
late 2000s. And blogging started to really take off. And it was, I met a bunch of dads, and we all kind of interlinked with one another
Oh,
to get that
nice.
link
Like a little
juice,
little dad blogger
dad
network. I love it.
community, dad blogger network. and then conferences started to happen in Australia. So it was absolutely massive. And
Nice.
then I changed from that, and I went, there's only so much you can write about being a dad for such a period of time.
Right.
And it's like a lot of people will go, yeah, no, I don't think I really need to know about the difficulties you had at the age of 41 changing a nappy, and I don't really want to know the details. So that's just a little
Did you
bit of
put?
info.
Did you
That might
post
be a little too
pictures?
much.
Did you?
Fortunately, not for those particular scenarios. I didn't post pictures, which is a good thing. And looking back on it now, I'm glad I didn't. But
But the
so
downside of doing it that way is that you had to do all your own SEO, right? So you had to learn how
everything.
to do SEO. You had to learn how to run it. You were basically an entrepreneur unto yourself, because once if you're on a platform, you can leverage
Mm.
some of the things the platform has. But if you're doing it yourself, you got to do everything yourself, right?
And it was such a, for the time, a steep learning curve.
Mm,
So for the kids who've never done their own hosted blog, you not only had to learn how to write, because there was not much information on how to do such a facility at the time,
right.
apart from conversations that you had. If you had kind of your own network, which I did,
Yeah.
it would be, you got this subject and you talk about this particular event, or something that transpired for you. You know, you took your child to a party and it was sick. How do you write about that? How do
Hmm.
you express it? So there was the personal network that you had to be able to learn how to write, and then wrangling that with trying to understand the technology. And like everyone was saying, WordPress, it's a wonderful platform to
Oh
use.
yeah, yeah.
And you can hook it up to your website, and then you can start writing your blogs. And it's just like, I struggled with, and I'm pretty tech savvy, and I went, but how do I move this block from the left hand
Oh
side
yeah.
of the
Good
screen
luck.
here and move it over to the right hand of the screen here? So then I can have this block of text that scrolls through, that's got a widget that updates, and people go, wow, that's pretty amazing. And it's just like, I couldn't work it out. I was
Yeah,
spending all this time trying to work out how to run a website, how to
yeah,
operate it, how to
yeah,
install WordPress, how to operate WordPress. And I
yeah.
went, I just want to write a blog. I
It's a
just want to
skill
publish
set.
an article.
It's a huge skill set. There is actually a pretty high learning curve if you want to do, like, just doing it out of the box is one thing, but if you want to change anything around or add any kind of features, it's a whole ecosystem. It's amazing how what it's turned into. So as a
And
writer, it
as
must have been tough for you to
Yeah,
do that as well, right?
yeah, it was. And talking about side hustles, it actually started a whole trend for a lot of people who became WordPress experts, because you'd
Yes.
be seeing some blogs and you'd be going, wow, that just looks amazing. But it
Hmm.
wasn't just that. A lot of these sites were easy to navigate.
Yeah.
They had functionality of like, it's like, here's my sub genre topics of topic X and topic Y and topic A, B, C, and you clicked a few buttons and you were able to read a lot of articles and go, this is really easy to navigate.
Yeah.
How do I translate that and put it onto my website? Well, at the time, you did that by spending several hundred to several $1,000s with a WordPress expert who
That's right.
you hoped knew what they were doing, who could do all this for you. Then you could go and literally write.
Yeah.
But when you're a blogger and you're doing this as a side hustle and you're earning pennies, you
Yeah.
don't have that finance to be able
Yeah.
to get somebody of that
Yeah.
caliber. So
Did you actually go down the theme, buy a theme rabbit hole, and find themes that you like? Because that's a whole nother industry, like sitting on top of WordPress, is themes and different kinds of themes
themes and wrappers,
themes and wrappers. Yeah.
I think I started with, and I think I was changing it every week. I started with a whole lot of free themes.
Oh yeah.
And then after a week, I'd go, no, this is not quite giving me the look that I want, nor is it giving me the functionality. So I'd change it to another theme.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point after I think I'd changed 6 themes in 6 weeks. I bought one for about 50 Australian dollars.
Yeah.
And to translate for those of you in the US, it's about 6.
Mm.
So, and yeah, so I spent a $50 theme and it was pretty good. What I
Hmm.
got was not bad for the price, and it gave me 80% of what I felt I needed at the time.
That's good.
So,
And then is that where we started writing about side hustles, or what was your niche at that point?
niche at that point was actually writing about And here's something else I realized. There was a very broad category of, I was trying to write about digital tools.
Oh man,
So,
that is a super
but
broad category.
but everything, it was a super broad category. And at the
Wow.
time I didn't understand about at least the term niche, but having a more defined narrow topic to be talking about. So I was talking about HubSpot, and I was talking about Facebook, and I was talking about this platform, and but it was the whole gamut. I was talking about SEO platforms. I was talking about blogging tools. I was talking about social media tactics, and at that time, Twitter was starting to emerge,
Yeah. So around
and
2008. So
around 2008, and the
did you actually have an
Instagram.
audience you were writing to, or did you just write? Did you just like, oh, that tool looks interesting, I'll write about it, or that tool looks interesting, I'll write about it? Were you actually thinking about what your audience might want at that point, or was it
It
more?
it was both. It was a bit
Hmm.
of both. I actually had I didn't realize at the time, but I had an email exchange with people, which you could pretty much call at the time a newsletter.
Yeah.
And people were asking me about, how do I use this tool? So
Mm.
the niche was a how-to blog, but
Mm.
it was also more of like, it was too many tools I was trying to talk about,
Right.
because you have somebody would say to you, like, to use today as a reference, how do I do stuff on Substack?
Yeah.
So if I'd never used Substack before, I had to go use Substack, learn about it, come back whatever time later, usually after 3 months of wrangling and trying to learn a tool, to be able to create some sort of guide or how to on it, being
Right.
able to express how people could use that tool.
Right. So it was driven
And
by the requests of your newsletter. So your newsletter, people would say, "Oh, I need to know how to do ads on Facebook." So you would go learn how to do ads on Facebook, and then you would come back and write a
yeah,
blog post about doing ads on Facebook.
I would be doing all that. That's exactly right, Chris. And my goodness, it was exhausting.
I can imagine. What was it?
Uh,
How did you monetize? Did you monetize that at all, or was it just
yeah,
you're just doing it out of
monetize
the
that
goodness of your heart?
um, through affiliate links.
Hmm.
So it was driven by money at the time too. I was
Mm.
thinking, oh, look at these wonderful tools. People will just naturally see my review or how-to guide. They'll go and look at the tool, and they'll go, $30 a month doesn't seem like a bad buy.
Yeah.
And then based on that, I would get an affiliate commission. So that was actually not doing too bad, and I was earning more revenue at the time than I had with my Kangaroo Dad blog,
Oh,
and
that's
even with
excellent.
HubPages. So
Yeah.
I could see a real trend going. This is really, really working well. I
So
might actually be able to get
you were
to a
pitching a lot
point.
of SaaS products that would actually pay you monthly, like something like
Yeah,
HubSpot and stuff like that. Well, that was a great idea. So
yeah.
did you fall into that, or did you notice it and you go, "Well, this is the way to go"?
I noticed that. I actually had come across a couple of articles where people were saying how they were using affiliate marketing as their go-to for earning an income online as a side hustle. And I just
Hmm.
thought, which was a little bit silly later on, I realized, of getting really good SaaS products. And at the time, I was writing about Kajabi, but I didn't have actually access to Kajabi because at the time, and I think it still does, it's got one of the highest per month accounts to
Hmm.
join. So I think even the starter level of Kajabi is about 200 US a month or something.
Wow.
So trying to talk about a product that you really hadn't used and you didn't want to use because it was just way too expensive, well, I thought, where am I going to get 200 US dollars for 1 month, learn
Hmm.
everything I can about the product, and then try and write about it?
Yeah.
So I had fallen into it, and then I'd fallen into that hamster wheel trap going, okay, I was more being guided by, if I can find the right SaaS product and if I hit the sweet spot for people, then I'm going to get a nice income,
Right.
rather than taking the tact of being honest and going, don't care about the income, but if I write about the product and I'm telling nice, clean, brutal, honest stories about why I believe these products would be important, and here's my take on why you should use it. I didn't realize at the time that would have been a much better tact for writing about those products.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I mean, when you look at it
Mm,
from this is like, what is the point? What's the point of this blog? Why am I doing this? I mean, the money aspect is a piece of it, right? So you have to look at that, like, what can I do
absolutely.
that's the most profitable, that's the most revenue generating version for me. So you were looking specifically at things like Kajabi and other SaaS tools like HubSpot, and that was where you sat sort of in that space.
I sat in that space for about 4 years, and then I met somebody, and then I got married, and then family happened.
Those do
So
tend to happen in that order. So
they do tend to happen in that order.
were you
So
still, so at what like when it was at its peak, was that enough income to basically keep you going? Like it's like you didn't have to do anything else for work?
no, I was still working, and throughout this whole journey, I have been working a 9 to 5, and it's been a 20-year journey of about probably 3 different places of employment during that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So, and it's just been like the other part of the journey has been just how do I kick this off the curb into the stratosphere
Right.
and make something of it.
Yeah.
So it's been more the side hustles that I've been running have been more if they've been really good, they've been paying the bills.
Hmm.
So um, my most successful one though was I was involved in IT for quite a while, and I had just a little bit of a heads up warning for anyone who's had a loss of life for a child. My first child, I just wanted to express, was stillborn, which was with a
Oh, it's terrible.
former partner. Thank you. That was 30 years ago, but that drove me to get a sea change. So I left
Hmm.
Sydney and I
Hmm.
moved down here to Melbourne. And I was working at a retailer at the time, and being into IT, I was selling IT products, and they had a company that they had where this company would come out and install IT equipment in your home.
Oh, so like a Geek
So,
Squad type of thing.
exactly that. It was like a Geek Squad type of thing. So, I did
Nice.
that for about
Well, if you're
4
in IT,
years.
that must have been a fun job though, doing that.
It was a fun job. I met, it was the first time I'd done something as a service
Mm.
side hustle, and it was face to face. So you're coming into people's homes and you're installing equipment and you're setting up their computers,
Thinking
installing
about how horrible
antivirus.
the decoration is, or like, like who
Exactly,
buys that
thinking
couch,
how
right? What
horrible.
paint is on the
It's
wall?
like, it's like who in their right mind would have that painting on their wall? I was like, are you serious? So
You
yeah, there
must have
was a
seen
lot of
some interesting
very.
collections, like those ones with the like the caricature faces and on the walls and the big spoons and
I have, I think, 2 favorite events based on that. It's a very good point you raised there, Chris. And the one was my first fond memory, and the couple that I was doing this computer install for were absolutely wonderful.
Mhm.
They were amazing people. They were actually Canadians themselves. They moved to
Oh,
Australia
we're the best.
uh, in the 70s. But the one thing that didn't change for them, and this is back in the 90s, but this house was the house that the 70s forgot to update.
I love it.
They had the brown and yellow walls.
Yeah, whoever thought those two colors would ever
Yep,
combine? I don't get that.
those 2 colors. So, baby poo brown and baby sick yellow is my affectionate
Lovely.
names for those colors. And they had the atypical 1970s alcove entrance. And what I mean by that
Oh, nice.
is, your brown coloured glass bottles, the
Hmm.
bottoms of those that
Yeah.
used to be quite big in the 70s. Glass would be made to represent those bottle shapes at the bottom of a bottle,
Yeah.
and that would be used as a facade as you would walk in your front door. The very first thing you would see is that,
Hmm.
and it was to give the illusion of you would pass that to then into your living area, your living
Right.
space.
Hmm.
They had that was a 3 foot long entrance from their front door into their living space. Their couches were yellow velvet that had
Ooh,
probably carried
I
over from the late 60s into the 70s. And they had the Technicolor carpet
oh, I
in the
love it.
living space. So I'm looking around going, I think the 60s is about to pop out, and I'm just about to wait for Austin Powers to come out and do a number.
You forgot to bring your go-go boots and
Yes, absolutely. The go-go boots were down there, and it was just absolutely, it was a beautiful house. It was brilliantly decored, and it was just okay. Yeah, 1970s is not going to say we need to know what happened to the 1980s. So,
I love it.
and
I love it walking
my
into those time machines. They're great.
oh, it was such a trip, and they had me back a couple of times, and
Nice.
that was just for some more equipment that was installed that I installed for them. I think it was a multifunction printer, and they had just come out on the domestic market at the time. And I think the third time I was removing viruses or something from their computer that one of their friends had come over and accidentally put on their computer.
Accidentally.
So yeah. Oh, I've got this USB drive here, and I'll just stick this on, and I'll give you
Yeah,
this
no
free
big deal.
version of Microsoft Office. And it obviously had more than just Office on the USB thumb drive, unfortunately. So, and the second favorite occasion was I had a guy who would have been probably not untech savvy himself, who at the time would have been 187 years of age,
Oh my God.
still quite agile. I used to do probably 20K walks before 10K walks was such a thing as we know these days.
Wow.
And obviously fitted me in between his times of golf play.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was Frank was his name. I still remember it. He was 82, retired Navy, and loved golf, loved women, and loved technology. But he was just in a bind because he didn't know all this new fandangled technology of computers and these big screens, how it all went together. He
Right.
knew how to use a computer when he was in the Navy, but he didn't know how they went together.
Yeah.
And he just, I can't share them here because I know this is also not just a travel show, not for people who are 50 plus, not for those of us who are into differences outside of jobs, but it's also family friendly. But some of the stories he told me were just amazing.
I can
Almost
just
too good
imagine.
to be true. Yep. You couldn't use the truth to get in front of a good yarn, that's for sure.
Sometimes don't you wish that when you come across people like that, you could just sort of sit down with a tape recorder or a podcast mic and just like listen to all of their stories, just capture all of that stuff, because it's so, some of that stuff is just amazing, and you're the only one who heard it, right? I'm sure he's heard it. I'm sure he's told those stories to many other people, but it'd be great to capture that for future generations, right?
Oh, just to talk about this for a moment, he was just the experience, and it would have been exactly that. This would have easily filled 50 podcast episodes.
Wow.
He told me that he had entered into the Navy during for us when during the very late 50s with the Malaysian conflict that we were sending our defence forces over as police at the time. And that was just, I believe, when Malaysia was having some internal strife. So it wasn't a war or as such a large level like the Vietnam War, but it was just it's just referred to in Australia as the Malaysian conflict. And he also did serve in Vietnam, and he got to a point where he was then contracted out, still in the Navy, but then providing services and consultations, which he said, I would tell you about those conflicts, but then I'd have to kill you. And I went, please tell me, kill me. This would make such a great story. So, and there was apparently a lot of several incidents that he couldn't share with me. So,
Wow.
yeah, all the way up to he'd gone over during the. For those of us who remember when we had the Allied forces go over in the Middle East the last time when we were removing the weapons of mass destruction,
Yeah.
which was after 9/11, and that's after that when he had retired from the Navy. So
Right.
yeah, it's such a character,
Wow.
so many good stories.
I love it. I love it. So you did IT for a while. Did you stop after your family came along? to do
Stopped
something else,
after
or?
my family come along, and also just for some reason we had a big intake with international students into our colleges in Australia,
Hmm.
and the in-home services industry went through a massive lull because you had a lot of these wonderful kids who were going to university to learn IT to then go home, take them home and start running companies.
Ah, okay.
But as a side hustle themselves, they were doing in-home services and other IT support,
Oh, so
and they
you
were
had a flood of people on
undercutting
the market.
flood of people on the market who were undercutting all the companies who were doing services like this. And all of us contractors were getting feedback going, Jason, I'd love for you to come home and recommend you to one of my family or friend members to help them install computers, but you're twice the price of this person here is offering the service.
Right. Right.
So
So you got
yeah,
priced out.
that got priced right out of the market almost overnight.
Wow. So what did you do after that?
So after that, I kind of put to bed the side hustle ideas for quite a few years and concentrated on career and ended up before actually having a family. I did and a great journey to after a long time. I did some travel overseas when I was a very young child.
Hmm.
Spent some time in India and 3 years in the UK, up
Nice.
from the age of 3 until 7. And then at the ripe old age of 39, I got the opportunity to travel to Thailand
Ooh,
and,
nice. Well,
and
Thailand's
spent.
close for you guys.
Yeah, it actually is less hours to fly to Thailand than what it is to drive between Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah. I believe that.
Just to give some context there. So it's a 10-hour drive between Melbourne and Sydney and just under an 8-hour flight from Melbourne to Bangkok.
Yeah. I
So
think people forget how far away Australia is from almost everything, because I remember that my flight to Perth went through Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong to Perth it was 9 hours. It's like this is
yes,
far. This is very far from
yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
It is from for those who haven't flown between like the US and Australia, it's I think the shortest trip, if it's direct, is 14 hours between LAX and Sydney,
Yeah. That's
I
right.
believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, so coming to Australia, it's yeah, we're not just over the ditch.
Yeah.
It's quite a considerable number of hours to travel, and it's probably very hard to get a direct flight between the two
Yeah.
nations.
Yeah.
So quite often you have stopovers, and so you've got, as you have experienced, Chris, coming to Perth. Between Perth and where I am in Melbourne's a 5-hour flight.
Hmm.
So so we're I think that's the same of between and happy to be corrected if I'm wrong here. I think that's about the same distance between LAX and JFK,
Yeah. That's
like
right.
flying from
Yeah.
California to New
Yeah.
York.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because I mean when you think of Australia, you don't think of it being as big as or as wide
Mm,
as America, but it is. I mean, isn't it
yeah.
like third or fourth largest country in the world or something like that? I know it's up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's the second largest island in the world. It's the largest island is the North American landmass of Greenland.
Hmm.
So I'm sorry, I say that as a bit of a joke. So,
Soon to be
but
a future state, right? The 51st
soon to
state.
be the
If
51st
Canada doesn't
state.
join us, then we're going to bring Greenland
Yeah,
in next, right?
yeah. So yeah, please don't, Canada. I love you guys, but please don't
Don't
do
worry.
that.
I still
Yeah,
talk to a lot of Canadians, and they're like, "No way! I would
yeah.
never ever do that." Even the ones, even in Alberta, even the Albertans who are a little like anti East Coast people, they're still like, "Yeah, we still don't really want to do
Yeah.
that." So yeah, it's interesting. Well, it's interesting because so if you think about it, Australia is really
Mm.
it's really kind of remote from everywhere. So I mean, I'm assuming
Yes.
that's really affected your culture, like the way you just you feel
Oh,
like
it has.
rugged individualism is kind of like the thing, right?
Very much so. And I think a lot of that is due to with our history.
Mm.
And to put a little bit of context here too, a lot of people go, especially when they visit from America and go, you guys just don't have guns here. And it's like, well, actually, surprisingly, we do.
Yeah.
We, in a lot of ways, we have as many guns in Australia as what you do in regional areas in America.
Yeah.
Now,
Sure.
the big difference is our history. Everybody had guns all the way
Mm.
up until from the time Australia was founded in 1788, and then once in by the 1850s, pretty much most of where people live in Australia now was had people, and you had police, and you had bush rangers, which were the criminal element,
Hmm.
and they would come and steal your wife or steal your sheep or steal your beer, or even back then it
Oh.
was like rum. Rum was the currency.
Hmm.
So, and if you wanted to take something, you had to take it by force, which then
Right.
everyone had a gun. So, but then by I think 1878, or it might have been what was known as the Eureka Stockade, which was a small conflict of about 200 people, where people were trying to assert their rights as workers because they
Hmm.
had to work 14-hour days,
Yeesh.
and they used to say enough.
Yeah.
So there was conflict between the workers and the police and the state police at the time. There were British troops involved as well, who just happened to be in the area. And there was a conflict, and a lot of the workers passed on out of the conflict. And a lot of people just decided, you know what, having guns is just too much trouble. If that's
Mm.
what's going to happen at that stockade, then that's not for us. So, but guns is still culturally very much strong, just in just about any farming community.
Hmm.
But the big difference is that the guns are used for vermin control.
Right.
So we have, as funny as it may sound, we still have a lot of kangaroos that are very wild in regional Australia. We have foxes. We have dingoes, like up north in some of the
Hmm.
areas. They can get on the properties, so they can damage cattle, livestock, and some of our produce like wheat, sugar, barley, etc. And believe it or not, we've got one of the largest like wild camel populations in the
Really?
world.
I didn't know there were camels in Australia. That's a new one on
Camels
me.
were introduced in the 1850s, I think. There were like 16 or 18 camels that were brought over from
And then all of a
the
sudden they just
UK,
like ran wild.
and they ran wild, and they were used. They were great, considering most of Australia outside of the coast is pretty. Once you get remote, it's pretty much like a desert. Like
Mm.
80% of Australia is desert.
Yeah.
When people were exploring back then in the 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, if you had a camel, you basically had a tank
Mm.
coming with you.
Mm.
You had an animal of burden who could carry all your equipment. You could carry your food. You could carry their water. And being camels, they only needed to drink once a week, so
Yeah.
they themselves didn't need that
So
much
it sounds like
water.
the perfect animal
Mm,
for that environment.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect animal for that environment. And once they started to breed, the other thought at the time, which never really took off either, is camels being a large animal, a supply of meat.
Hmm.
But that never eventuated here in Australia. So, but
They
I
were too
believe
valuable
last count,
as burden
yeah,
animals. Yeah.
two
Very
two
cool.
valuable as burden animals, and I think last count there was over 120,000 wild camels in Australia.
Wow, that's probably more than some of the cities, some of the smaller towns.
Yeah. So yeah, guns are still quite common in a lot of like farming and regional communities because it's primarily vermin control.
Yeah.
So um
Well, you do have some things in Australia that we don't have anywhere else, right? I mean, it's kind of like its own ecosystem. Like kangaroos are nowhere else, right? I mean, and plus there's probably plenty of other
yeah,
varmints that you can't find anywhere else.
kangaroos, koalas, wombats, wallabies, etc., all known as marsupials, is
Hmm.
the big name group for those. Um, some of those types of creatures are found in Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. But
Hmm.
um, I mean, we have probably the closest in another country would be wallabies
Mm.
that are found in naturally in New Zealand. Um, emus that we have, which are the big flightless birds,
Oh yeah.
are unique. I mean, ostriches are found in other countries around the world, but emus are specific to Australia.
Right.
Um, and one thing that really surprises a lot of people, and I get almost an insane amount of inside joy with this, is the platypus is this cute duck-billed looking animal. Platypuses are quite tiny.
Hmm.
They're an amphibious creature. They've got a bill, as I said, a bill like a duck. They're furry, they're tiny, but they have this on their hind legs, this hook claw on both. So they've
Yeah.
got webbed feet. They've got
Hmm.
webbing on their feet as well. So, but on their hind legs, there's a little hook claw that comes out on the back of their hind web feet, and it's a barb. And that barb has a poison that is considered the highest lethal poison in the world
Holy crap! I didn't
for
know
an
that.
animal of its size, and a lot of people don't.
Right. So it's like,
So
oh, look at this cute little animal. I think I'm gonna go.
yeah,
And
so
it's
if you
like
picked it up
deadly.
and it has enough poison to kill a human.
Oh my
So,
god, that's terrible.
but when people
But
think
they,
of poisonous or venomous animals in Australia, they think crocodiles, snakes,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
blue-ringed octopus, all the
yeah.
other things. Like, no, I'm not going to Australia. Everything there's designed to kill you.
That's right. I've heard that. I've heard that exact statement.
Yeah, but it's not true. I mean, crocodiles in a very small region of Queensland in Australia. I mean, snakes. It's almost impossible to find a snake in our major metropolitan cities. It's like you've really got to go bushwalking and hiking to dense bushland to really start coming across snakes. Probably the most common creature in terms of a critter in Australia are spiders. Yeah,
Mm,
spiders are everywhere,
yeah.
no
So if
matter
you're
where
afraid
you
of
go.
spiders, stay away.
Yeah, if you've got to think, if you're an arachnophobe, you're going to have a difficult time in Australia,
Okay, that's good to
because
know.
if they're not venomous, they're massive.
Oh, so that
So
freaks me out all the more. It's like I don't care if they're going to kill me. If they look like
yeah,
that, it's like, oh, stay away. Like I was reading a novel by Alexter. I forget his name, but he wrote a
yeah,
novel about a spider species. Like the whole thing was about a spider
mhm.
culture, and I couldn't read it. I was reading, I read a couple of pages, and I thought, if this whole book is going to be about a spider culture, I don't know if I want to read this whole thing. It freaked me out. Well, let's just go back to your stuff for a second. So you
Sure.
had a family, and then are you now restarting your side hustle blog sort of thing, or what exactly are
Yeah,
you doing now?
yeah. Just circling back to that, I had been probably trying to crack it on Twitter
Mm,
for such the longest time.
good
And
luck. That place is a disaster.
oh, wow. I'll
I
start
tried
with
too.
wow
I
and I'll
tried
end
too,
with
and
wow.
it was impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I got on to it's the Sengist. Okay. That's got a vowel in that one. Second longest social media platform I've been on. I've been on Facebook for however goodness knows many years. But Facebook I primarily only use to stay in touch with family,
Yeah,
considering a lot of my aunties, uncles, and cousins are in
yeah.
different
Same
states.
here.
And Twitter, I think I've been on, even though I haven't actively used it for 3 years, I think I've been on there 11.
Wow.
No, might be longer. 2000 and yeah, would be 11 years. 2015, I joined Twitter. I was late to the Twitter party back then.
Yeah.
Because from memory, I think Twitter's been out since 2009,
2008, 2009. Like
2008, 2009. Yeah,
all of this stuff started around 08, 09.
yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we actually started up. So in 09, Twitter was hot, and the company, I was with a little tiny startup when we were doing IP stuff,
Hmm.
and nobody was doing IP stuff because it was right after 2008, like the recession. So
Yes.
we pivoted to do something to do with Twitter. So it was going to Twitter and Facebook and harvesting stuff, and then coming up with reports on what people were talking about, this sort of thing. So you didn't have to be on Twitter all the time to figure out what people were talking about. It would harvest all that information, then it would give you reports on it. And we did that for about a year, and then my co-founders got cold feet, And they said, "Oh
Yes.
no, this isn't ready yet. This isn't ready yet." And we launched it for about a week, and then they said, "Oh, let's take it down. We need to add more new features." And that's when I said, "Okay, no, I'm out of here. That's not going to work." But so you tried to build some following
Well,
on Twitter?
yeah, as everyone does when they're on Twitter, I thought
Yeah,
I'll take the little bit of Gary V advice, and I'll take the attention route. I'll just
yeah,
make a lot of noise, and once I get a lot of noise, then along the way I'll figure out what I can do to provide a service and monetize this beast.
yeah,
And I never cracked the Twitter algorithm.
yeah.
I just could not get, like, I think I've got, and I had for a very long time 1,000 followers on there,
Mm,
and I could just never crack past that point. I never had any tweets that went viral
yeah,
or did very well. Every
yeah,
now and again, I'd have something. I'd get on Twitter and have a look, and I go, "Oh wow, somebody shared this 27 times. That's
yeah.
the most I've had
Woohoo!
happen in 3 months." Got excited, and then nothing
Yeah,
for 6 months.
yeah.
And I
And then there was
just
no other way to monetize either, right?
There was no other way to monetize. Like at the
yeah,
time, before a certain billionaire took over, there was
hmm,
no direct way to do it. Once you started to try to indirectly by providing links to places like a landing page or your LinkedIn bio or something like that, that started to get culturally frowned upon on Twitter, as well as they
oh yeah, they
started
didn't
to
want you off
shadow
the
ban.
platform. They didn't
They
want you
didn't
off the
want you off
platform.
the platform. They
Yeah,
started to take the Instagram route and go, no, we need to keep everybody here. We need to keep them in our ecosystem because then we can provide advertising. I understand that and I respect that. The platforms are doing what they feel is best for the users that they have. And they're the same as the rest of us. We're just little fish, but they're big corporations that don't need to make a buck. We're little
yeah,
fish who just want to have a good time and make a buck as well.
that's right. We don't have to make the big bucks. We just need to make enough bucks to get by, right?
We just want enough bucks to get by and have a good life and just do the things that we choose to do.
Yeah,
Um, and just for the longest time, Chris, I was just so frustrated. I went, I don't know what I'm not doing, what other people are doing. I'm seeing people who come on later and then they're growing these massive accounts.
yep,
I
yep,
would do investigations of these people, and it's like, well, they're not bringing other people from other platforms to
yep,
this.
yep.
They're starting absolute scratch, and then within 6 months, they've got 5,000 followers, and it's like,
Yeah. How the hell did that
what are
happen?
you? How the hell does that happen? What are you doing? What's the juice?
Yeah,
And uh, anytime somebody DM'd you on Twitter, it was to sell you something straight off the
yeah,
bat.
exactly.
And
That's right.
it's just like dating. It's like, thank you. I'm not after a one night stand.
Mm,
I'm old school. Buy me a dinner first,
yeah,
and then we'll have a conversation. Oh my goodness. So I started to get, I think, ultimately quite jaded with the whole platform.
yeah,
And then very rapidly, when that billionaire decided to purchase it, it had its downhill run where it's now just ended up. I did the mistake of having a look at the platform a couple of weeks ago. I don't think I'll do that for a long, long time.
no,
It is a cluster bomb of dumpster fire,
yeah,
is the nicest way to express it. I mean, there's a certain other way I'd like to express what it is now, but
yeah.
it's just
You want to stay family
unbelievably
friendly.
rotten. I want to stay family friendly with this comment. So it is
So no, I'm with you.
unbelievably
I think
rotten.
I think I think X Twitter is just it's this. There's nothing there anymore. Like for anybody who wants to grow an audience and actually make a
Mhm.
few bucks, I mean it's impossible. Even their own tier that they've put in place with subscriptions and views and stuff like that, even that thing is almost impossible, impossible barriers. And there's so much spam and spam bots and engagement pods and all sorts of these other you know less than ethical ways of growing and building stuff. I think they've taken over. So if you're trying to do this
Yeah.
the ethical way, if you're trying to do this the correct way, it's almost impossible to grow on there. So did you move
And
on to another
yeah.
platform after that?
Yeah, once I got enough of all of you, what you've just described just gave me the icks, and I went, I just can't do what I want to do on the platform. I happened to see a tweet and somebody had spoken, and I can't remember who the person is now because I don't think they actively use Substack, but they made a comment about Substack. And at the time, I was actually thinking, okay, I've done some serious side hustles. I've done the digital route. I've provided services. Even for a period of time, I had a brick and mortar business where I had been retailing and renting DVDs, and this
Oh,
was
in the
back in the day.
Netflix
So, big
pre-Netflix
side
days.
note. Yeah, this was when Netflix used to send DVDs out by post. So that's
Hmm.
how far back that was. And then I went, Substack, what's this Substack? And then I came and decided to have a look at it. And I found, oh, this is like ConvertKit and Beehive.
Yeah,
And,
but better.
but better. And at the time, Notes actually hadn't been introduced to the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I am a lot of a nerd, and quite a proud nerd to say. For the longest time, I've been either as a dungeon master or as a player. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Mm.
very, very popular tabletop role playing game. So I actually started my first Substack about showing how to, for new people who were players who wanted to learn how to become a dungeon master and run their own tables. I was
Oh, I
actually
love it.
giving guides
That's
and so
that's a
forth.
beautiful niche to be in. That is great
Yeah.
because you got a lot
And
of
so,
huge audience. There's lots of people out there who have been playing this thing for what? It's probably been around for what, 30, 40 years or even more? I
yeah,
mean, I'm
since
sure.
a lot of people recently have come across Dungeons and Dragons, thanks very much in part to Stranger Things being on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's been around since 1977.
Mm.
And so I did also speak a little bit about the history of what happened. And yeah, so it's just, there wasn't anything more at the time of me writing on Substack to say more than I'm just writing and expressing my favorite hobby. And at the time, no view of monetization.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I was getting inquiries, and it was more in the frame of a lot of people are asking me questions. How do I get my players to go to this part of my world that I want them to explore?
Right.
Or what do I do when this particular scenario happens? So I was getting a lot of like feedback on saying, how do I play the game? How do I
Mm.
learn as a dungeon master?
Beautiful.
And then I had stopped due to COVID.
Mm.
And I actually had a period of time. For those of you who are not aware, at the time between 1920, sorry, 2020 and 2022, we had the longest lockdown anywhere in the world
Yeah.
here in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
So, and I had gone into work from home. So, very early in the piece, we were like, when COVID started in December um, 19, by March 2020, we had been sent home from the place I was working at the time.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So they got in really early, and I didn't come back to the workplace until late 2022.
Jeez, that's a long
So
time.
yeah, and that was
And
1 month
did you have
after
your
the
blog
end of
going
our
at the same
lockdown.
time? Did you have your Substack going at the same time?
I
Because
had the Substack going at the same time. So, and I had stopped on that in 2022 because of the lockdowns. I'd gotten into a deep depression. I was doing some redonkulous hours at the work
oh
at the
no.
time, and I ended up leaving that company to where I am now, which is much, much better.
Mm.
And I had, because of that, obviously stopped with Substack. But once we'd come back a couple of years ago, I went, oh, I might go back and have a look at this Substack thing. Because I hadn't been active, I've just got one of my dog's coming in to say hello. As you can see some paws here. Here she is. Hello, Rurus. How you going? You've come to give us a guest appearance on my live. Hello, sweetheart. So come on, down, down, sweetie. Oh, here we go. Come on, down. Sit down there.
Authenticity.
Good. Absolutely. So love it. Absolutely love it. You couldn't have timed that better, honey. So what had happened was, yeah, because I got into a deep depression, I just stopped everything because I needed that time to see someone professionally and get some help,
Right.
which I am very happy to say it did help, and it helped immensely. I'm in a much, much better place the last 3 years.
That's good.
And I think it was around 18 months ago, because the Substack about Dungeons and Dragons, I had disappeared off the face of the earth
Right.
in terms of my readers at the time. And I went, I just might give another one a bit of a go. I just
Mm.
might start another Substack and just ease into it, talk about helping people with side hustles, kind of turned that around after about 4 months and went, I haven't really helped other people with side hustles. Maybe I just talk about my experiments and experiences.
Hmm.
So rather than being one to say, here's how you do a side hustle, I went, well, no, here's how I've done side hustles.
Yes.
Here's my experience. And then
Yeah.
hopefully you'll get some value out of that journey
Yeah. Because
that
I
I
think
have
that's
had
exactly,
previous.
I think that's what ends up happening is that you've got a lot of people who are telling people this is what to do, this is what to do, this is
Mhm.
what to do, but they've never experienced it. They've never gone through it themselves. So I mean, that's the thing I like about Substack, the authenticity is the people who are talking about what they're talking about are the people who've already been through it. They've lived through it. They've done what they're doing, and they can relate their own experiences, and that's what you're doing.
And that's been such a great journey. And I think actually you and I have been talking a little bit about this on notes and in the DMs as well, Chris, which has been both our shared experience, where it's been a lot of people have been giving me feedback and going, Jason, you started to tell, but now you're doing show,
Hmm.
and we're really enjoying the show, don't tell
Hmm.
aspect of it. And it
Yeah.
has changed my journey, and I'm enjoying it just so much more. I just feel the authenticity that you're able to express and share on Substack just makes it so much more freeing. I've got the constraints of I just simply share my journey,
Hmm.
and it just gives you so much more flexibility and joy. So the idea is obviously to monetize as well, but my view on that is like, okay, I'm 57 this year. In the next 10 years, I'm going to be retiring. Am I in a real hurry to start earning an income? No.
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of people on Substack are outliers and they get on the platform, and after 6 months, you're going, how the heck did you get 378 people as a paid Substack and you're earning $4,000 a month? It's
Yeah.
like, I didn't know who you were 5 months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But that's not common. This is the thing. So, a lot of people, unfortunately, especially if they're not aware of like social media and marketing, like you and I have experienced over the last 20, 25 years, that's not very common at all.
No,
It's
super
just
uncommon. And it's
people have
it's
brought
it's
them
funny.
from
There's this impression that all you have to do is get on there, show up, and then after a couple of months, boom, you're making a ton of money. And the
money
reality is,
rains from the
yeah,
sky.
the reality is that you need, probably 2 to 4 or more years, and the actual chance of you getting to the point where you're making even 2K or even 10K a month is something like 0.2%, right? So the the
Right.
chances are extremely unlikely that you're going to get to that level. And all we seem to be seeing is these people, touting their 10K months and stuff like that. But I think those are either rare or they're just lying through their teeth and they're telling you that so they can sell you a course, which is unfortunate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because the other thing, especially with the young kids these days, is they think if I'm buying a course, I'm not going to buy a course because it must be a scam,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Exactly.
unfortunate because there are actual legitimate courses out there.
Hmm.
And hello, Miss Rue, you've come back to say hello again. And the other aspect is it's a consistency and it's a longevity game.
Yeah.
And an example I use for a couple of people who are very well known, one being Gary Vaynerchuk. If you go back in time for Gary, he spent 8 years on YouTube before anyone really started to know who he was,
That's
before
right.
he broke away from the family business. And his YouTube channel was just showing the differences in wines. And being a New Yorker, his expression is quite brash
Yeah.
to the saying, hey, I've got two wines. Here's a red wine from Australia. This is really bloody good. Buy this one. This one here from California, it's shit. Don't buy it. And in a typical Gary V way, a lot of people, and again, he's dividing the people, he's attracting his vibe and he's repelling the others, being
Yeah.
his real brash New Yorker self.
Yeah.
Conversely, you got someone like Mr. Beast, who
Hmm.
spent 6 years building his YouTube channel,
Yeah.
really, with entertainment and just like I swear the guy smiles in his sleep. He's always got a smile on his face
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got a
and
great attitude.
fantastic attitude, and it's just always so hyper. And he's attracted his vibe. But he spent 6 years before he even got, like, I think his first 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's now the biggest YouTuber on the planet as an
Yeah.
individual person.
Yeah.
So,
But it takes, so that's the thing, is that people forget how long it takes. But you're right. I mean, all you have to do is go back to the beginning of these success stories, and then look how cringy their work was back then, right? If you look at their work today compared to what their work was like back then, it's super cringy, and you're like, how can this person how did this person turn into this person, right? But it does require longevity. It does require, and the number one thing you have to just do is start and keep going, right? That's it's always been my motto, is that because unless you keep going, then you never know when the success is going to hit, right?
I say the exact same thing all the time too, and I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because it is important. Start. Now, you've started, keep going.
That's right.
And when you keep going, still keep going. Just keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's right. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to wrap it up because I've got to
Yeah,
go do a few
absolutely.
things. But this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Best place at the moment is I've absconded from all other places on the internet. Everyone can find me at the Step Ladder Hustle right here on Substack.
Excellent. Well, I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can go directly to you. So thank you so much, sir. It was great talking with you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
was
It's
a lot
been
of
an
fun.
absolute pleasure.
We'll do this again. We have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd
Right.
love to do this again. We've got so much more, both of us, to say.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Chris. Talk to you soon.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive.